It is known that the bond between parents and their children is one of the strongest human connections. However, in the case of narcissistic parents, this relationship can be polluted and entirely unnatural. Narcissists have entirely different motivations that make them excessively concerned about their appearance and overall image. They strive to maintain an idealized self-image throughout their lives, which makes their relationship with their children extremely complex and, in many cases, destructive beyond imagination. Narcissists, and I'm referring here to both narcissistic fathers and narcissistic mothers, not just fathers, tend to use their children as if they were possessions or utilities in their lives. Their interaction with their children is not genuine because they do not see their children as separate individuals with their own personalities, desires, and thoughts. Instead, they view their children as their personal belongings to be used as they see fit. Thank you very much for your support. If you find this content helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for helping to share this message with those who can benefit from it. In today's discussion, we will explore the reasons why narcissistic parents struggle to genuinely love and connect with their children. Some people have asked me whether narcissists truly love their children or not, and if they don't, why do they pretend to love them, albeit in an insincere manner, almost like a performance or a display of their relationship with their children? We should also acknowledge that not all narcissistic parents treat their children in the same way. Some do not show love or affection but rather exert control and dominance over their children's lives. However, today we are specifically discussing narcissists who do not establish a genuine relationship with their children outside of their own self-interests and goals, which usually involve control and manipulation of their children's lives. The first reason for the toxic relationship between narcissistic parents and their children is that narcissists crave admiration from others. Narcissistic parents often display love and affection toward their children, especially in public settings, with the aim of attracting attention and admiration from others. In this facade, the narcissist appears to be an ideal parent, showering their children with love. However, in reality, they lack any true emotional connection with their children and do not care about their children's individual feelings or concerns. The narcissist who behaves in this manner only cares about how they are perceived by others when they are in the presence of their children. They strive to present an image of themselves as perfect parents. However, they have no genuine emotional connection with their children and do not invest in their children's psychological well-being, their problems, or their feelings. However, when the narcissistic parent is in front of others, they can be extremely kind and affectionate. Because of this, children experience confusion and a lack of understanding due to the inconsistency in their parents' behavior. It makes them feel like they've done something good when their parent treats them nicely, and they become puzzled and disoriented when their parent doesn't treat them well, even when they haven't done anything to deserve either treatment. The primary goal for a narcissistic parent in any relationship, even with their own children, is any goal that serves their self-image and appearance in front of others. This is entirely unnatural and goes against what parents should ideally be focused on, which is their children's happiness and providing them with a stable emotional life. Unfortunately, narcissists are completely self-centered and do not prioritize these matters. Their focus is solely on themselves. The second reason is that narcissistic parents tend to idealize the childhood phase excessively. Narcissists prefer the childhood phase in their children's lives because it brings them greater admiration from others for their involvement and care. They become overly focused on what they do for their children during this phase, rather than on their children's growth and development as independent individuals. This superficial approach makes the relationship between narcissistic parents and their children very shallow. When you are a young child, you may not have the ability to speak up because narcissists want you to be silent and comply with their demands no matter what. Continuous obedience is one of the narcissist's goals in controlling everything around them, and this includes their children. There is no real connection between the parent and the child. Instead, it's all about the narcissist's possessiveness and feeling that their child is entirely dependent on them for everything. This becomes an obsession for the narcissist, and any hint that their child is becoming less dependent on them, or worse, becoming self-reliant, is completely unacceptable to them. Narcissistic parents behave very differently in childhood, and their interactions with their children can appear affectionate and loving on the surface, but the truth only becomes evident as the child grows and develops their independent personality. Furthermore, narcissistic parents have an insatiable need for control over their children. From the ages of 3 to 15, narcissistic parents exert complete dominance over their children, believing it is easy for them to shape their children's personalities and control them under the guise of love and false affection. The narcissistic parent makes all the decisions in their children's lives, from their education and school to their friends, and if they want to isolate their children from having friends under the guise of protecting them, they will do so. They can completely forbid their children from developing their independent personalities. To the narcissist, you are simply an extension of themselves, and as soon as you attempt to express yourself or your own personality in any way, you are considered disobedient or rebellious, and they treat you as if you have committed a major offense. The reason after that is that narcissistic love for their children comes with conditions. While we all know that a parent's love for their children should be instinctual and unconditional, narcissistic parents' love is conditional. The narcissistic parent transforms the human relationship between them and their children into a transactional one based on the children's performance. If the children do not meet the narcissistic parent's complete approval and attention, they may be punished by devaluation and neglect, and ultimately, they can be discarded as if they have no purpose or connection between them and the parent. Love here is conditional on fulfilling the narcissistic parent's needs, especially those related to their appearance and image. Furthermore, narcissists use their children as pawns for manipulation. They may use their children in issues between themselves and their spouses or in post-separation conflicts. Children may find themselves being used to benefit one parent against the other, or they may be used as a means of punishment by depriving them, for example. This turns the child's life into a nightmare because they are caught in the middle of conflicting parties, with no consideration for the consequences on their psyche and future life. Narcissistic parents use their children to achieve their goals, without genuine concern for their real relationship with them or their attachment to them. Children's relationships with narcissistic parents do not go beyond being a source of supply or a tool for the narcissist's benefit. Children in families with narcissistic parents often experience favoritism and discrimination. The favored children are treated as golden children and receive unfair advantages over their siblings. This creates an unfair dynamic within the family and often leads to the scapegoating of other children who are not idealized like the golden children. These children are subjected to extreme unfairness in their upbringing, with no equality in how they are treated by their parents. Another reason is that narcissistic parents practice favoritism and create divisions among their children through manipulation. The narcissistic parent often elevates one child above the others and uses that child as an ally to help maintain control over the family. This favoritism is not based on genuine love but serves as a means to maintain dominance and control within the family. This unequal treatment becomes the norm for them. For narcissistic parents, children are merely pawns to be manipulated and used for their benefit. The focus of narcissistic parents is on winning and achieving their goals, regardless of the means they use, even if it involves harming their own children. They do not care about the genuine relationship they have with their children or the emotional bond. Children's relationships with narcissistic parents are not more than a source of supply or a tool to achieve the narcissist's goals. The children's relationships with their narcissistic parents do not extend beyond being a means of supply or a tool for their parents' benefit. Unfortunately, the consequences of this type of parenting can be devastating for the children involved, leading to long-term emotional and psychological harm. I am sure that some people listening to me right now have experienced things like what we discussed today, and I have received some disturbing messages. Perhaps some of them have been shared on this page regarding the treatment of narcissistic parents, whether fathers or mothers, towards their children. If the name written on the ID card is that of a narcissistic parent, there is no true love or genuine parental care for their children. It is a catastrophe and a tragedy within any family marked by division between children due to narcissistic parents. The children in such families are often subjected to extreme unfairness in their upbringing, with no chance of recovery. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like if you like the video, and if you have any questions, write them in the comments. Also, if you have any comment or note regarding the channel, write it in a comment, and if you have any advice or idea that advises me to develop the channel, send it to me.